All right. Kent Hovind sues the U.S. government for $500 million. And he's not even a U.S. citizen. So he says. My name is Nate, YouTuber, lawyer, and this is the Brody's Bunch. If it's your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share the video if you like it, and please hit that like button if you like what you hear. So today we're going to look at Kent Hovind v. the United States government. So let me introduce you to the players. Now, Kent Hovind is a creationist and convicted felon. First, let me tell you how devout Kent Hovind is to the Bible. One time I was watching the debate with Kent Hovind and he was debating someone. And his opponent was going to ask Kent Hovind whether a Bible verse was true. And before the guy could even tell Kent what Bible verse he was talking about, Kent Hovind stopped him and said, "It doesn't matter what verse you're talking about, because the whole book is true. The earth is 6,000 years old? True. The universe was created in 7 24-hour days? True. The earth was created on day 1, and the sun, moon, and stars were created on day 4? True. Astronomy, biology, geology, and modern science, anything that disagrees with the Bible, is false. The Bible is the word of God. Praise be to God." Kent will also mention that he has a constitutional right to exercise his religion, even though he's not a U.S. citizen. Kent is also a convicted felon. 2006, Kent Hovind was convicted of failure to withhold payroll taxes, failure to pay payroll taxes, structuring, and interfering with the administration of tax laws. He served 8 years. It was so bad that his wife, Jo, had to serve a year in prison for this. The co-plaintiff is Paul Hansen. Now, Paul Hansen is Kent Hovind's number 2. Interestingly enough, both Hansen and Hovind were prosecuted in 2015 for mail fraud. Now, bear with me, but after Hovind's conviction in 2006, there were back taxes to be paid. Hovind hadn't been paying his taxes. So the government seized his property and we're going to auction it off or sell it off so they can get back their back tax money. The government started selling off the seized property from Kent Hovind. So Hansen did everything he could to try to make that process even more complicated. So in 2015, a federal grand jury convicted Hansen 2 counts of contempt of court. The first one had to deal with mailing a notice that interfered with the government's effort to sell Kent Hovind's property to pay off the tax debts. And the second one, its failure to comply with the subpoena ordering Hansen to appear in court. Now, Hansen was sentenced to 18 months in jail. Interestingly enough, Kent Hovind was also convicted by the jury, but he was later acquitted. Why? Well, see, the specific order that Hovind was found guilty of violating, the judge found that there was actually no provision in that order prohibiting Kent Hovind to do anything. So they reversed it, and he was acquitted. Hansen, he went to jail. Now, this gets to be crazier. Kent Hovind mentions that the property filings that led to that 2015 prosecution were on the advice of one of his cellmates who Kent calls a legal genius. If he's such a legal genius, why is he in prison with you? Now, both of these plaintiffs have no attorney, so they are pro se, meaning they're representing themselves in court. Now, who are the defendants? Well, they're the prosecutors who prosecuted Kent Hovind. They're the investigators who gathered the evidence, and Kent Hovind's defense attorney. They're suing them all. Let me break this down for you. First, Hovind is trying to get his conviction overturned somehow. Either through appeal, he wants a presidential pardon, and now this lawsuit is just another attempt to overturn that 2006 conviction. Let's look at what they're charging. First, since Kent Hovind was imprisoned for 8 years, they're saying that count 1 is false imprisonment. He was also prosecuted, so another count is malicious prosecution. Remember, they seized the property to pay for the back taxes? Unlawful seizure. When the government went and arrested Kent, they came into his house with guns and took property and took them. They're alleging armed robbery. You get the gist of it. So this is going to lead you to the question, well, what's their legal reasoning? First, we got to talk about violations of God's law, because that's in there. Yes, he has 2 pages of violations of God's law. Here's some examples. God's law says, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain." Kent says, the defendant swore during their testimony and by their oath of offices, they violated God's law. Thou shalt not kill. Kent says false prosecution, slander, kills deeply, ever enduring. Violated God's law. Thou shalt not kill. False prosecution. Sounds close enough to me. Thou shalt not steal. We're still in the Ten Commandments. Defendant stole much of Kent's life. Another violation of God's law. Here's another one. Thou shalt not bear false witness against their neighbor. Defendants were conspiring to withhold the whole truth. Is false witness. Biblical false witnesses are to suffer what their false testimony was attempting to accomplish. They violated God's law. The defendants have been alleged to have violated God's law. I don't know why that's even relevant, but now we move on to some of the non-religious argument. First, the U.S. government has no authority outside of Washington, D.C. Now, they point to the enclave clause in the Constitution. For those of you who don't know, that's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. It says, to exercise, keyword, exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square, as may, by succession of a particular state, and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. For those of you who don't know, this clause was to establish a U.S. Capitol, which is now Washington, D.C. And that gave the federal government exclusive authority over that piece of property. But Kent and his legal expert are saying that that clause only gives the federal government jurisdiction over that enclave, Washington, D.C. Their second piece of reasoning is that they're not U.S. citizens.
And you never elected to become a U.S. citizen. Now, people are going to raise their eyebrows. What do you mean, never elected to be a United States citizen? The American people do not study law. Lawyers do not study law. There's only one way you can become a United States citizen. There's many ways to contract with the United States. The United States citizen is only one contract. There's only one way to become a United States citizen. You've got to stand in front of a judge that is authorized to give you the opportunity to be sworn in as a United States citizen. Have you ever stood in front of a United States judge where he asked you to raise your right hand and take the United States citizenship oath?
I've never done that.
Okay. That's the only way you can become a U.S. citizen. Every American watching this, it's the same with you, too. You cannot be legally a U.S. citizen unless you did that.
So this brings us to the 14th Amendment. It says, 14th Amendment, Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This is called the Birthright Citizenship Clause. If you're born on U.S. soil, you are an American citizen. But they said this subject to the jurisdiction thereof is the part they want to play around with, because they said, well, remember we just argued that the federal government only has jurisdiction over that 10 miles over Washington, D.C. alone? That's it. So if you're born anywhere else outside of Washington, D.C., you're not a citizen by birth. I wasn't born in D.C. I'm a citizen. Now, the weird part about this whole case is that they're arguing that they can't exercise their rights as citizens, but then on the other end, say they're not citizens. Crazy. Now, their third piece of legal whatever is that Kent believes that his conviction for tax evasion is just wrong. Now, Ken Hovind has been playing this tax game for years. Look at this clip.
And so what we're going to cover tonight on income tax was going to be surprising to some, and others will say, yay, go get him, Brother Hovind. Some other Christians might say, oh, you shouldn't talk about that. Well, my philosophy is everybody should obey the law, including the government, right? Real simple. I have not filed any income tax in 28 years. If there's a law requiring me to file something, I would like to see it. I have the entire Internal Revenue Code right here, thoroughly marked up, indexed. You're welcome to check out anything. I know the subject pretty well. I've been a long-time student of this topic, as my son would be glad to tell you. This is something I read a lot on, because I want very badly to be right with God.
So, for all of you people out there who says, well, I've never seen it either, he's right, 26 USC section 6012. It says, persons required to make returns of income. Quote, Section A, general rule. Returns with respect to income taxes under subtitle A shall be made by the following. Who are they? Every individual having the taxable year gross income which equals or exceeds the exemption amount, except that a return shall not be required of an individual than it lists. So, if your taxable income is more than your exempted amount, then you have to file a return. And then they list exemption. But Kent says there's not a law requiring you to file a tax return. Well, there it is. Now you know. There is a law requiring you to file a tax return. Shocking, right? And think about this. He hasn't filed one in 28 years. Now, he may not be required to file one. Like, he may fall within one of those exemptions. But that's not his argument. His argument is there is no law requiring him to file a tax return. Kent, so now we understand, Kent gets his legal advice from pretty shady people. His cellmate, who he calls a legal genius, who's also in jail. And the person who's spearheading this legislation was his co-defendant that was convicted. This guy went to jail when Kent Hovind was set free. And that's the person he's taking his legal advice from. So now we're at the end of this video. And this doesn't stop here. Think about that. Kent Hovind's fans are crazy. They believe this. Even to the point in 2015, before Kent got released from prison, his fans threatened the federal judge. You think I'm joking? Check this out.
Judge Rogers Chambers.
Hello, could I speak to Judge Rogers, please?
She's not available at the moment. This is Kathy. May I help you?
Kathy, are you her assistant?
Yes, I am.
You are. Could I get a message to her? Tell her my name is Pete Santilli, okay? This is a disgusting thing that she's doing, and it's not going to stand. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm calling upon every single Christian to surround that courthouse during that trial, and I demand right now, and the judge can do this, just have Pastor Hovind released, okay? Have him released. Can she get that done? Does she have the power?
Not that I know of.
She does. Have her release him right there. We'll meet you at the courthouse steps.
Insane. So, where are we at as the case stands today? Well, Kent and Company have to serve the defendants with the complaint within a certain time frame. Now, what do I mean by service? Service is a legal requirement to notify the defendant that the cause of action has been commenced. Now, if a plaintiff doesn't serve the defendant with the summons and complaint, then the case is generally dismissed. So as you can see in this particular form, written by the judge, they have a limited amount of time to serve the other side. And if they don't within that time frame, their case is going to be dismissed. So, do you think Kent and Company have a chance to get $500 million? Matter of fact, do you think they have a chance to get anything from this lawsuit? And do you think Kent Hovind will actually get his conviction overturned? As always, comments below. All of the links of all the things that I've shown you today, they are in the description. So hopefully you'll enjoy looking at Kent Hovind's madness. And if you want to see a review of Kent Hovind's 2006 conviction, check this out. Linked above. Kent Hovind has thrown a BS frivolous lawsuit against the U.S. government because he has $400 to throw away on the filing fee. Who knows? My name is Nate, lawyer and YouTuber, and I'm out of here. Peace.